occur from this team that have not been jungle related.
Let's see how the draft plays out for him. It's Set and Syndra and it's Fortune banned out by TL. Immortals getting rid of Aphelios and Zaya. They are daring Team Liquid. They were saying, please, please, do us a favor and pick that Senna just one more time.
Oh my goodness. 3 marksman bans here, leaving up the Senna for Doublelift. Oh my goodness. And in fact, we'll take an Ornn. Now, there is actually thought behind this Ornn pick because if Immortals then do try and get the Senna power pick for a lot of other teams that is not been useful for Team Liquid, she's very poor at busting tanks, later in the game because lethality does not scale well. Lethality is a much more early game oriented stat, very good at taking down squishies and low armor champions. But since Senna builds so much lethality, not good at taking down those tanks later on, and Ornn is the tank to go to. So I like the first pick there from Immortals. Even if they don't feel like picking Senna themselves, they got some defense against it.
They've got themselves the Gangplank, can have a pretty successful lane into the Ornn, and they're going to lock in Ezreal. So
got some buffs on this patch. I think it's a very good pick. Ezreal also pairs really well with some of the high priority mid laners right now. Zoe, you can make a full poke composition with Ezreal Zoe. You can throw a Yuumi on Ezreal as well, who also got buffs on 10-3. So definitely like this pick since they themselves, like I talked about with the Ornn first pick, you don't really want to pick Senna looking at that one.
There we go. Senna's going back in the lamp. We got a different AD carry coming out of the shadow. Oh my God, I said it too soon. Well, okay, never mind. All right. They're just baiting the fans a little bit. It is Kalista, Taric there in the bottom lane. Now, Taric, all too often when we see him, people immediately have these horrible memories of a solo queue game going up against a duo boost Master Yi and Taric combination. But remember, the champion can still be played in a non-scummy way.
And some background on that hover troll from Jensen. Yesterday, he had a solo queue game where he carried on Senna and tweeted out at Doublelift, oh, this champion is OP. So Jensen giving him a little shout out there, hovering the Senna as well. It could have been picked as a support, but Kalista works so much better with these supports that get a lot of value out of being thrown in there. Now they've got this amazing front line, a lot of defense racked up for Team Liquid with the Ornn and Taric front line.
I really like the Nautilus pickup by Immortals going into a Kalista. Kalista's ability to constantly jump with the martial cadence as the passive can make her incredibly evasive and difficult to hit. When Nautilus can point and click, lock on with the depth charge there in the team fights, can create the opportunity Immortals needs to lock her down. As we get into the second part of picks and bans here, we've got bottom lanes locked in for both teams. What you're assuming is top lanes for both teams, but we know that these champions can be flexed around. That means junglers are still needing to be picked for either side, and that means junglers are going to get banned. It's Gragas and Olaf already taken off the table.
And when we heard that Broxah was going to make it over this week of the LCS, I was really fingers crossed hoping to see him on Lee Sin. And Lee Sin has not found his way into the bans yet, just the Olaf and the Gragas thus far, so it's still a possibility. And looking for some of those champions that he really can excel on, show his mechanics.
I would love to see Broxah on Lee Sin in his debut game here in North America. Team Liquid has one more ban to go. Immortals decided they're not going to go full jungle focus here in the second half. They are going to keep LeBlanc away from Jensen. 2 seconds left, Team Liquid. What's it going to be? All right, one more jungle ban is the Elise. That one won't be played here, but the Lee Sin that you mentioned still available for pick. It's over to Immortals.
And even if Immortals maybe early on might have been thinking about a poke composition with Ezreal plus Zoe or something like that, when you're looking at this much hard engage, it's pretty hard to still go through with it, right? Because that is one of the biggest counters to poke compositions. You have Ornn, who can charge ahead, and Kalista, one of the few AD carries that actually also helps out with engage. So they get an Xmithie classic here, Captain Flowers.
Xmithie classic with the Sejuani. He's had some interesting ults with the champion in the past, but Xmithie's always been one of the best in the jungle. So
you missed one ult!
Hey, man, that's the one people remember. But this is going to create a powerful front line. The answer from Team Liquid, they're saying, all right, you want to play the tank jungler. Let's get in there. Let's put Broxah on a champion this man can shine with.
I should vocalize my wishes more often, actually.
Yeah, you seem to be making things happen here, my friend.
Ryze actually being hovered over here as well for another pickup. Their last time around did not go so well. Team Liquid tried to split the map They could not make the split actually work with the Ryze in 1-3-1, but this would be more of a grouping with the rest of the team. So this would be more of a 4-1 style if they decided to go side lane Ryze later on, because Ornn, Kalista, Taric, Lee Sin is actually a very good 4-person comp, and you don't have to do 1-3-1. You can just do the 1-4. Meanwhile, though, I like the Cassiopeia lock in here for Eika into the Ryze, one of our classic matchups. But Cassiopeia right now, when they have this much engaged, Sejuani and Nautilus is very good at starting off this fight. So we can see if they can actually layer these CCs that they've been able to stack.
Tons of engage here for both sides. Two junglers with incredible early ganking potential against two immobile mid laners means I hope to see some action pop off around there early on in this game. And the biggest thing I'm looking forward to about this matchup, look at the amount of veteran names that you see on both of these teams. I want to see some higher level strategy here.
I agree. I want to see some high-level strategy. I disagree that Cassiopeia and Ryze are immobile mid laners, though. Both of them can run phase rush. Ryze can get extra speed off of the passive. These are champions that actually can be very slippery, especially if you do have those CC components to work around. Phase rush Cassiopeia actually can get very, very tricky to deal with.
We will check what those keystones end up loading in with once we get into the game. I can tell you guys right now, because I have a side monitor, it is phase rush on both of those champions here in the mid lane this time around, so they are both going to be utilizing that speed. It's the Conqueror for Lee Sin, the Aftershock for Sejuani. Everything will be looking pretty standard across the board there. Thank Mr. Broxah, says the audience. The Liquid fans are ready to see this guy pop off here for TL. It has been a rough start to the split, and they're looking to turn it around right here.
All right, Flowers, what's it gonna be? Broxah smash or Broxah feed?
That's the name of the game. That's the question, my friend.
Let me hear it. Broxah feed or Broxah smash?
All right, as the crowd comes to life, the champions are ready, the players are waiting for the minions to spawn. Let's throw things down to a sideline report. We got Riv standing by with Dodo.
Thank you, gents. Dodo, I just wanted to ask fast, kind of what were the first steps that the team was doing with Broxah when he came over?
So he came over yesterday, and then he came over and he got into scrims right away. And we are really excited to play with him on stage today. And yeah, he's just a grinder, and he's just really working hard. So
Hitting the ground running. Second question, that Lee Sin pickup, everybody wanted to see it. Is that comfort, or is that the team letting him play, or did you actually want to see him on the Lee Sin?
yeah, he's super confident on playing Lee Sin. He literally told us yesterday, get me Lee Sin, I will get you guys the win.
Dodo, thank you so much. Head back, watch the game with your team. Good luck. Back to you guys.
I love hearing that. Get me Lee Sin, I'll get you a win. That's a man speaking with confidence for his first day.
And that's why I said I wanted to see him on it in Champion Select. Been watching his stream over in Europe while he's been waiting for his visa. And this is certainly his most confident champion. And you want to be on your best champion when you're playing against the jungler that you replaced. Xmithie here on the other side on Sejuani, also starting on top side of the map. So both junglers going to be clearing down towards the bot side.
Fun piece of information on the side of your screen right there. Last time we got to see Doublelift on Kalista, 2018 spring. So more than a year and a half ago, just about 2 years ago now, 13 KDA going up against Optics, so quite a performance on that one.
Yeah, one of the things about Kalista, whenever she is in the meta, she is very in the meta because it's a play style that is so different from a lot of other marksmen. And oftentimes the Kalista stats for players are much higher because when she is very strong, it's a very contested pick. She gives you dragon control, gives you engage options, and sOAZ is going to give Impact some damage options.
Impact doing a good job there to make sure he walked straight left away from the second barrel so he didn't take bonus damage at the end of that chain, but sOAZ getting the better of him here in the early trades on the Gangplank. That's one of the things that you do become responsible for when you pick that early Ornn. You open up the opportunity for an enemy scaling laner. Broxah going in the Immortals jungle. Oh no, disaster! Team Liquid's jungler is first blooded by Immortal.
Welcome to North America, my friend. Xmithie has a defensive ward intelligently placed and immediately collapse onto Broxah, getting that first blood. This is one of the things that people were worried about missing when Team Liquid gave up Xmithie is the planning. And this ward he put down there before he goes over to the Gromp. This gives the early alert, hey, Hakuho, head on over on the Nautilus, and it is an immediate punish.
And the CC was layered so perfectly as well. Xmithie over the wall, he starts laying down, getting those stacks on the passive for Sejuani while the Nautilus hook comes in. Boom, 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 1, 2, 3. Brox is done before he has the chance to even try to flash away. Good pickup there coming out from Immortals. And now they're able to shove back out bottom side as well. Because of the fact that Broxah was taken out, it meant that Team Liquid had to play respectfully down here, and Altec will get that lane shoved up. Doublelift and CoreJJ doing a good job, freezing it up here just outside turret range to keep it right where they want it to be.
Hakuho with another defensive ward on bottom side. I believe it was actually his trinket, me looking at the trinket cooldowns that put it there. So really good communication from the Immortals side for the opening here. Now Xmithie on the offensive, trying to go take back the other half of the map. Leaves around the deep ward, as well as an extra control ward here in the jungle. They are doing everything in their power to keep track of Broxah. And since it started out with such an early advantage there with the perfect counter kill, it makes it very easy for Xmithie to keep up this invade pressure.
That Scryer's Bloom will allow Xmithie to see that Broxah has made it onto the wolf camp that just now respawned. Xmithie did manage to steal the Gromp away, and Xmithie's going to get the first 2 Scuttle Crabs as Sejuani against Lee Sin. That feels good.
Feels extremely good because it's so rare, and it does, again, go back all the way to the planning. Now, with the recent buff to Sejuani, the buff was attack speed. You just get free 10% bonus attack speed at level 1. The intent was to help her actually keep up with the early clears they're seeing from a lot of the other aggressive junglers. Now that he's rushed the Bami Cinder as well, off of the early assist money that he got from Broxah, the clear here for Xmithie is way higher than it's supposed to be. And honestly, he's going to stay ahead of Broxah for the current time period. As you can see, decent amount of CS up, went for the invade. You talked about the double scuttles already. So now he needs to use that lead to keep vision for the lanes. You can see mid lane is surrounded by vision right now for Immortals. So even though CoreJJ and Broxah are trying to get out on the map and make that jungle support synergy work, it's already over more wards.
Oh, and Xmithie, he slides over the wall, nearly finds the connect there, but not quite making the CC happen. Means the Team Liquid will manage to get everybody away, but they have to use Core's flash for it.
Yep. Game of information, Captain Flowers. Well, top side is not really about information. It's just about brawling. sOAZ up here has plenty of sustain still left, though. 2 biscuits have arrived, so he's trying to hold those. You know there's no burst potential here for impact.
And look at the side of your screen right now. EXP comparison. Broxah almost up to level 5. Critically, Xmithie 75% of the way to level 6. And both of these junglers just have so much more potential once that ulti is available. That time frame difference between when Xmithie has his and Broxah does not, that's a huge window for Immortals to try to make a move.
And this is something that would not have been really possible last season. Xmithie almost a full level above Broxah. Like we kept on talking about, the removal of that catch-up experience means that those early mistakes or those early successes in really good defensive warding shown by Immortals and shown by Hakuho really do snowball later into the game. So we'll see if Xmithie can make that first Sejuani ultimate useful. He has gotten there like you're looking for, and there's some very good places to try and use it. Bottom lane, there's still no level 6s for the Team Liquid side. So as they finish up on this blue buff steal, I would expect Xmithie actually to swap back down to the other half of the map. Because Immortals, if you count up their composition strengths on the bottom half of the map, they have the Gangplank ultimate that they can also use. And then, before a Kalista Taric get their ults, you can actually gank them. Afterwards, they can both make each other invincible, so it becomes a lot more difficult.
Eika and Xmithie working together there, recognizing there's no way Team Liquid wins that 2 versus 2 with the level advantage that Xmithie has. They walk in, they take the blue, they get out before Impact is able to collapse, then they get a bonus Scuttle Crab on the back end of it just to add insult to injury. Things are going wonderfully for Immortals as we run into a pause.
All right, well, a little update there. Doublelift has gained control of the minion wave, so he pushed it in and got his level 6 first. And Kalista Ultimate is one of those big immunities we talked about that makes bottom lane so much more difficult to work around. Plus, since he's got the upgrade for boots for Kalista, far more important than every other AD carry because it's passive, so he's feeling very confident in the power of bottom to defend themselves right now. And we may see Xmithie go for a topside Rift play because I really do like rushing Rift Herald nowadays with the lower value on individual dragons. You don't have to start stacking so early, and if you can invest your time in an early Rift Herald that results in guaranteed plates, that is money in the bank that you can try and use to win those fights later.
Update on our pause. It appears that we do have a mouse issue on stage. We'll get that resolved for y'all as fast as we can and get right back into the action. And speaking of that action, it has led to a situation. You mentioned the CS discrepancy earlier in the jungle, where we were seeing Xmithie farm better than Broxah. That is still the case. He's about 16 up in that matchup. Top and mid lanes are almost perfectly even, while bottom lane Doublelift has himself a 14 minion farm advantage over Altec on that Ezreal. And I'm specifically going to be watching Doublelift because last week, I don't think anybody, not one single person who's a fan of the LCS, who's followed it for any amount of time, would expect Doublelift and CoreJJ to get first blood killed 2v2 by the Golden Guardians bottom lane, which up until that point had been by far the weakest bottom lane that pretty much everybody had seen. But then they did, and that is exactly what chat said. That's a wake-up call. No more Senna. We're back on Kalista, and I want to see him step up.
So that's an interesting thing, because people have been saying wake-up call for a long time here for Team Liquid.
He's been hitting the snooze alarm.
Okay, yeah. Snooze alarm on the first one.
Yeah.
A couple losses here, a couple losses there, snooze alarm. But now you're late for work, basically.
Yeah, they're about an hour late
Spring
for work.
has started. They're almost they're second to last place right now. They need to get up. That's what you're saying.
It's time to hop in a car and speed down the highway because you got to get there in time. And right now, time is not working in the favor of Team Liquid.
And Officer Xmithie might just pull you over.
Officer Xmithie.
Okay, because
he's sitting in the speed trap as Broxah tries to make things happen this game. And it looks like we're right back into the game. And as soon as we unpause, Altec immediately has to flash away from an engage attempt that comes out from Doublelift and CoreJJ. Doublelift using the ulti on Kalista to force that summoner.
Oh, and that's what I was talking about. The Rift Road plays actually started right now for Xmithie, as well as Eika heading over with the mid priority. They're able to take this Rift Herald. I really like, too, they changed Rift Herald, so you don't even have to be right next to it anymore. It makes it a lot less dangerous to use. Xmithie, they're going to knock some plates off by hand. Bottom will be exchanged for that Cloud Dragon for Team Liquid. But I think this is a very good trade for Immortals as well, as they take off some plates by hand and then are able to use the Rift out here, cash in on a few more for sOAZ.
Shelly charging in, almost taking it down to only one plate remaining. See Doublelift and Jensen, the two richest guys in the game. The wealthiest man on the side of Immortals, actually the jungler. There with Xmithie, Sejuani, sOAZ right behind him there on the Gangplank. Eika following suit just behind that. Top lane, Shelly does only manage to get the middle couple of plates. You normally want to see her take out the last one or two of them, so not perfectly ideal usage, but still cashing in with a little bit of extra money there for the Immortals top side.
Yeah, I mean, all well and good as long as you get paid. Impact here going to try and hold these minions as well. He does not have his teleport cooldown. So the Gangplank ultimate that is sOAZ has been holding on to this entire time is acting as a fairly good deterrent. Bottom side, since they use that Kalista ultimate pretty early, they're not going to make anything happen until that thing comes back up. Because with teleports both on cooldown for a top side, the difference is going to be that Gangplank ultimate. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, you got to be pretty happy if you're Immortals having Eika just farm away here. First Jensen on the Cassiopeia. Scaling up quite nicely, both of them just charging their tiers. Xmithie coming to hover a little bit as well in case there's a possible gank on this minion wave push.
Immortals still with the only kill in the game as we just now crest the 10-minute point, about 1,000 gold ahead of their opponents on Team Liquid. Hakuho takes the opportunity to walk up through the river here, help clear out some of that vision around mid lane. Altec is safely farming up close to his own turret. He's on Ezreal. Very much a lot of potential there to escape anything that might come their way, and they know that Team Liquid got back anyway, so it's not like any plays are going to be happening down there here soon. Broxah will clear out some of those control wards from his own side of the jungle. Xmithie has gone forward, but he has to flash away. That time, he was alone. He didn't have the rest of the squad with him. That was not communicated properly.
True, and that is... Oh, Hakuho.
Oh, but talking about communication, Doublelift now going to find himself in a bad spot. Here comes the damage! Cosmic Radiance not in time. Everything in the kitchen sink. Cannon Barrage 2, they wanted him dead.
People are wondering if this week would be Broxah's arrival, fixing everything for Team Liquid, saving them. But it's turning out to be Xmithie making them regret their decision very heavily here. He does get caught on the invade, but respects the fact that the Kalista ultimate just came back up, immediately flashes away, and Hakuho once again. Hakuho has made so many of these plays for Immortal. He was the one who placed the trinket ward that saw Broxah. He is the one that slips into that side lane brush just before Doublelift hops over the wall and starts off this kill. They're able to burst him down. Look at that, that was right before, slips into the bush. They barely burst him down before that Taric ultimate lands, by the way. You could see it almost there in time, but not quite quick enough. And Immortals get themselves some more money on the bottom side of the map as well. You can see 3 turret plates knocked off there for Altec and Hakuho in the aftermath.
3 turret plates. We've got the Mana Moon completed, stacking that up for Altec. Sheen just now purchased as well. Double tier users on this team, so those guys will be wanting to get those stacks as fast as humanly possible. That gold lead climbs up to nearly 2,000 now, as Immortals are just making the moves happen here today on Summoner's Rift. Sunfire Cape completed for Impact's Ornn. That's a very high value item to give your Ornn upgrade to once he gets a couple more levels and has access to those upgrades. sOAZ sitting in the top side, still with the Trinity Force pieces. However, does have plenty of gold sitting around in the inventory, almost at that Trinity Force point, where we'll see the champion start to have a lot more potency with the barrels.
Yeah, Trinity Force for pretty much any champion that builds it is just, you feel like gold. You feel like you just made payday.
It really does.
That's something you've been saving up your money for your big purchase for so long, because that item is so efficient, Flowers. Like, it gives so many different stats. It's one of the most efficient items in the entire game with the power spike that it can give you for mid-game. And we'll see if they're actually able to use it. Again, the Gangplank ultimate was used. It was well worth it. And he's almost level 11, so he's about to get rank 2 for it.
I believe it's just under 98% gold efficiency for the Trinity Force, but that's without including the passives. Awesome item.
And that's where all the power is. It's in all these passives that you get, because you get so many stacked up there on that item. Meanwhile, Dragon coming up with that Gangplank ultimate timer that I was talking about. So this is the one where Immortals are going to be very ready to set up for it. You can see sOAZ already started heading down the river as well, clearing out the wards, and they'll just start this one up. They've got plenty of control wards here in their early alert system, so it should just be a nice, easy ocean.
And this is the cool thing. You mentioned earlier trading the Rift Herald away for the Drakes because the individual ones don't matter that much. That Cloud Drake TL got earlier is 5% ultimate CDR. That's not going to make or break the game. Immortals got themselves some extra gold, built their lead up, and now they're in a spot where they're comfortable enough to start contesting for those Drakes as early as the second one. Earth Drake's the one who terraforms the Rift here, so we're going to see some stacking defenses. And that actually feels really good when you're Xmithie on this Sejuani. If you can keep racking those up, it would feel equally good for Impact's Ornn. These tanks are going to become big, beefy boys.
Yeah, for Ornn especially is the thing that I was going to mention. I absolutely love Mountain Drakes for Ornn teams, because not only do you get all these upgrades to the items, just adding more flat stats, then you get to multiply them as well. More objective focus here from Immortals as Xmithie heads to the top side. They were about to start up the Rift Herald, but once sOAZ started brawl in there with Impact, Xmithie actually stopped on it, and they might just go for a first turret bonus for themselves.
That turret is having the Demolish proc tick down. We're after 14 minutes. This one surely turned into rubble. There we go. Xmithie makes the call to chase it even further. Looking to find the damage. Flash coming out, but the chain CC is down. Immortals will do it, and once again, it's Xmithie.
Xmithie heard you were talking smack. He brings out his Sejuani and just runs over this game. Top lane is down, the tower's down, and you know what? Yeah, Team Liquid, they get the Gromp, but that is going to be a second Rift Herald for Immortals, as Xmithie, still with the objective focus, will head right there after the kill.
Xmithie, there's a reason you watch this guy play. Every team he's on, he just always finds ways to succeed and bring out the best in the people around him. He's facilitated all the plays happening so far here in this game. He's punished Broxah's invades. He's set things up for his own squad. And he's playing the best Sejuani skin. I am a fan of Xmithie's jungle gameplay.
And just for our fans that tune in right now for how we got to this point, I also want to credit the team play from Immortals and Hakuho, right? Because we keep going, oh yeah, Xmithie, because it's so cool he's playing against his old team. But Hakuho was a very big part of both of the early game plays that set Xmithie up to be able to do this for the team. I think it's important to recognize your support players.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hakuho has been on point with the roams, making sure that every single time Xmithie's ready to set something up, they don't miss out on those opportunities. Hakuho's inventory, Chain Vest, Negatron Cloak.
Oh, you know what that means, baby.
The Gargoyle's Stone Plate, once that is completed, that is the name of the game right now for tanky supports. Get that constructed. Make it so you have 3,000 health when you dive into a team fight. It makes it so difficult to deal with these guys. As Shelly summoned up, mid lane turret still at 10% HP alive. TL should be able to clear that one out before it takes the turret down. So Immortals won't quite get what they're looking for there, and a bit of a silver lining for TL.
Yep, they're going to keep up the pressure though. Immortals don't really have a reason to give up on this. They've got a very good 1-3-1 setup right now. Eika on the Cassiopeia does have teleport ready, pushing in on the top side where he's matched up against Ornn. Very good matchup there for the Cassio, who's got a double stack wave. So Immortals controlling the resources available on the map. They've done a very good job of snowballing with the early lead. Sometimes those C teams let the control get away from them with some reckless plays, but has all been objective focus here from Immortals. And Xmithie is over the wall. This is such a defensive combo though, like we talked about, Kalista Taric. They can both make the other one immune. And unless you can burst them down while you're waiting for that timer, which we saw already successfully done, that is going to be a false play there. So Immortals don't actually go for it, and they're just going to clean up bottom side instead.
That's the thing about Taric. Every single time he's in the game, his ultimate becomes pretty much the most important ability in every team fight. So specifically, I will watch CoreJJ as we're 18 minutes in, and we're probably going to start to see some big fights and see how much value that provides.
Other thing about Kalista is she does not scale exceptionally well later into the game. Yes, they do have an Ornn on their team, so you can get more gold in her artificially by upgrading her items. Yes, they do have a Ryze, but the DPS, the AD specifically, attack damage threat that's going to be coming from them as the game scales on through later when you're facing a Sejuani that has the extra passive for more defensive and a Nautilus that has rushed the Gargoyle Stone Plate. It is going to be a bit difficult here because Gangplank and Cassiopeia are so good with pure damage from those solo lanes, and a lot of it comes in AoE form as well.
Altec shooting off the True Shot barrage there, seeing if maybe there was some poke to be found. There is not. CoreJJ gets jumped on by Xmithie, but does a good job there with the juke boots, sidestepping away from some follow-up DPS, and Immortals will move on to the Drake.
Yeah, just keep going down the checklist, Flowers. As we said, these spawn timers desynced by 2 minutes each from top half of the map to the bottom half of the map, so they're easily able to pick up this dragon. They are going to give up some pressure on top side, but they should be able to knock over mid-turret in exchange. When Broxah shows, they know impact was already there. That's a lot of commitment from TL to make that exchange for Dragon, and it will result in the mid-turret also falling. This will be the entire outer line of defenses opened up, and this means that, look at all these wards, you can just keep up your vision line moving ahead for Immortals.
Hakuho thinking about making a flank happen here, but they are missing vision on some Team Liquid players. They don't want to risk throwing a lead away on a haphazard dive. Instead, they see that Eika's got things set up here in the bottom lane. They'll bring everybody over and push on to the next tier 2. Ornhorn's not going to find a lot. I'll give him 3 points for putting it between the uprights, but that's about it. Impact will not protect them.
Yep, tower down, red buff stolen, and Team Liquid trying to get trades on the other half of the map. They are so far behind right now that they cannot fight and contest on these. That's why they opt for Jensen in the side lane on that Ryze. He does push over the secondary turret himself, so at least he does get 2 back for Team Liquid. Still though, it remains difficult to see how the setup for Team Liquid is going to result in their big turnaround in this game, right? Because Immortals have been so methodical and because they have such a good vision advantage, you see multiple times where Broxah is looking for a flank on Lee Sin, but there's too many wards backing Immortals as they push up for these objectives. And unless you get an amazing kickback on one of those super high priority targets, then you combo that, you know, with the Ornn and Kalista ultimates to try and get a knock up and kill one of those DPS targets first. If you do not get that flank, then Immortals continue to stack up these advantages, and now they're running down Impact. Teleport used as well. He's cornered.
Impact used his Summoner Spellbook barrier there, but did not actually shield any damage at all with it. He'll try to make a valiant stand, but 1 versus 3, all you're gonna do is just get a fancier epitaph. The man has fallen yet again, and Immortals find themselves in a 4-0 lead now. And they didn't use anything super important in terms of ults in that fight. Yes, they had to use a teleport, but they've still got their full combat potential ready to go here. As CoreJJ ends up in... no, he's not in any danger. He'll be just fine. Mid lane tier 2, though, that thing's going down. Immortals, they got 4 men already pushing onto that one. sOAZ still hanging out there in the bottom lane. He's got his TP. He's got his ulti in case a fight would break out, and Immortals are just racking up these leads. Like you said, they're going down the checklist. They're not taking unnecessary risks, and they're slowly snowballing.
And you kind of you touched on it there, where the champions for Team Liquid here with CoreJJ and Doublelift, they're not necessarily in danger, but that is because they're giving up more and more objectives. The secondary tower in mid lane now goes down. They get the kill on bottom side on Impact, and there's no possible answer for Team Liquid up by the Baron. So now they're just grouping up as mid, trying to force their way back into Immortals territory here, even though there are so many flank wards left behind in the jungle by Immortals. They have all of the options for themselves, and they can see the members of Team Liquid proceed out to the objectives a good 10 seconds, 15 seconds before they even get there.
The big number that stands out to me right now with those stats in the bottom of your screen, Broxah's damage this game to champions is 57. I'm pretty sure that's less than caster minions when you put them together from all the lanes. Xmithie has 3,160, and he's going over the wall to start yet another fight right here. Some follow-up damage coming in from Altec, but the rest of the Immortals are not in a position to properly collapse on that one, so that won't turn into anything. It's Impact anyway, not exactly the guy you want to start the fight on. Jensen will continue split pushing in the bottom lane, and Immortals make the call. They're saying, do not answer him. Force them to come to us. The Baron is the play.
Unless Team Liquid get a steal here, this is looking like... oh!
Hakuho go. Fight can be turned around. Hakuho is going to be on the front line. There comes your Nautilus ulti. They're going to be traded back and forth. Cosmic Radiance coming down now. Hakuho going to be taken down to half. CoreJJ exploded before the Radiance able to keep him alive. Now they're going to be able to find the double kill on the Doublelift. Immortals have lost 1 but claimed 2. They win the fight, and they're going right back into the Baron pit.
They have all of their DPS still available. They trade Hakuho for both members of the bottom side here for Team Liquid. They don't start it back up, though. Xmithie regenerating there on a Sejuani, and he's behind them.
He's got the perfect spot. Jensen's using the Realm Warp, and Xmithie comes over the wall. The Sejuani is ready to go. sOAZ chases Impact away from the rest of the fight. Broxah is able to disengage there with Jensen. Impact still on the run, taking the Blast Cone over the wall, using the TP. Gangplank has no hard CC. There's no way to interrupt that one, but critically, that is a 5-minute cooldown that they got.
And another critical thing here, Team Liquid are going to give up the Baron in exchange for the Dragon. They don't want to fight this, so they're actually going to further delay the possible soul. Immortals will be happy to take that trade, though. They now have pushing power, and since they've done so much work in the early game, they can run right up to those inhibitor turrets and push on through.
Well, done there by Immortals. And that's the kind of decision-making that I wanted to see. When I said I want to see some higher-level strategy, so many times when there's a split pusher in these games, we see LCS teams go back, should we do Baron? No, we shouldn't do Baron. Should we do Baron? No, we shouldn't do Baron. No. Go there. Either stop the guy in the side lane or get the big purple worm. And that's exactly what Immortals did. I love that decisive decision-making.
Yep, so they can easily turn off this Baron. Everybody's on the same page. You need to immediately turn for the fight because they have the split push Ryze going. And even though the teleport is channeling, they burn down CoreJJ both before Jensen arrives from the teleport and before his own ultimate lands critically. Jensen does arrive in time to actually have the burst damage to trade it for Hakuho's life. So from Team Liquid's point of view, at least they got something back, but now they're faced with the Baron push from Immortals, who are significantly ahead. And looks like they've actually dispersed here. They sent sOAZ up to the top side, who does have teleport, to try and get top side pushing in addition to the mid lane force.
And if you look at Jensen's items, he has gone for the inescapable Ryze build. This first showed up, I believe, in the LPL last year. Ryze plus Righteous Glory means he's just going to stick to you forever once he gets on top of an enemy champion. But he's not having the opportunity to do so. sOAZ is staying away from him in the top side. Jensen may be able to find that chase, but sOAZ will not allow himself to be chased. He says, fine, you want to fight? We're going to fight. Jensen can't win that 1v1. sOAZ turns it around, and Immortals take the mid lane and hit. Nice shot.
Good shot. They have the ward on the Krugs, seeing him stick around, and sOAZ, like you're talking about, fights his way out of it. So Immortals, they get the mid inhibitor. No reason to stop now. They still have 52 seconds left on the Baron buff.
Turns out chase potential only is valuable if your opponent wants to run away. sOAZ has no interest in such things, and Team Liquid has called their mid laner back to the base to help with the defense. It's a 5v4 defense now, and that means they will hold this second lane of inhibitors. However, they still have pressure coming into two separate lanes now. The rest of Immortals keeping the bottom lane pushed up. sOAZ having the opportunity to use Baron to push down top side means they are not willing to take the foot off the gas pedal here just yet. One remaining tier 2 turret now under pressure. sOAZ going to set up some barrels there, make sure he's safe as he pushes up. Altec's over the wall, and they will apply that pressure.
I just think that this game, you should go back and watch the beginning of this game, because after the early stages, it was very methodical and not a lot of big curveballs came. But it really does highlight the importance of planning in League of Legends and recognizing not only your win conditions, but the opportunities that your opponent is most likely to go for. Because Team Liquid, they very clearly they have early game Lee Sin with the Kalista and Taric bottom side. So Doublelift try to push up, try to get advantage on bottom side, and they try to send Broxah down there. But the early defensive ward completely turns it all around and allowed some very good counterplay here from Immortals. So that planning going a very long ways, and then they're able to use that advantage to snowball so effectively. Don't think they're going to have to go with the next Dragon Flowers, as 1 minute and 15 seconds about left on this one. Already laying the groundwork here, littering the jungle leading up to it from Team Liquid's side with wards of their own. And with super minions heading straight down mid, should be another easy step for them.
But this highlights the importance of what you said earlier, where Team Liquid recognized that Immortals were taking the Baron, they couldn't contest it, they went for the Drake instead. If you don't get that Drake and Immortals gets it, this is now Soul Point, and it just feels absolutely unwinnable. But Team Liquid will now be chased away from their own tier 3 turret. Gangplank ulti comes in, and Immortals are saying we want to invest for this tier 3. Broxah goes in, but he's not able to find the kick. Instead, he is already gone. Immortals will turn this fight right back around. True Shot Barrage coming in. Doublelift is already dead before the Cosmic Radiance can keep him alive. Immortals will back away and regroup. The damage is just not there for Team Liquid.
Attack repelled by Immortals there. And if you're looking at it from Team Liquid's side, that there also wasn't communication here, I believe, because if you're sending Broxah in for the kickback, regardless if he gets it or not, you want to channel the Taric ultimate as he's going in so that your timing on immunity is there. They actually have Broxah go in, he dies, then they have Taric ultimate as an, oh shit, we're about to lose the game.
Sometimes you gotta have that button ready to go. They did not, and Team Liquid will now have to defend their Nexus turrets. Immortals back away. They realize maybe it's still a little bit early to push for the entire win, but that Mountain Drake is alive. They still got 5 members standing strong. Doublelift just now got himself back onto Summoner's Rift. We'll see if TL are in any shape to contest this, but I don't think they would be, and this will be now sole point for Immortals.
Team Liquid really looking out of shape, Captain Flowers. People were riding off a lot of the early failures of the team with Senna picks, with sub-jungler. And yet here, Immortals show once again. Let's take a look at this. They have a huge lead at this point, so they're even able to bully them off the tower. Team Liquid go for the play. Right now, you start channeling that Taric ultimate so that regardless, really good flash there by Eika, but Broxah goes down immediately afterwards as well, and then they're on the run. They've already lost somebody. Ultimate starts channeling down, doesn't save anybody here, and Immortals very, very happy with the way that this day has started.
6,000 gold up. Things are looking great. Damage dealt to champions over the game. You can see sOAZ, the man at the top, nearly 15,000 done. Of course, it always helps when you lane against a big tank like Ornn that you're just going to constantly be putting damage into throughout the laning phase. That will pad those numbers a little bit. Altec also on the poke-based champion of Ezreal is going to have higher numbers than usual. But the only person on Team Liquid over 5 digits of damage, believe it or not, is Impact, the tank. When the tank is doing the most damage, something has gone horribly wrong. And Immortals now have control over the topside river here yet again. The control wards are everywhere. The jungle is lit up like an IMT Christmas tree, and they are going to maintain control over these neutral objectives. Here comes your engage. It's CoreJJ saved by Doublelift, but Doublelift is now in danger of dying himself. He's going to be kept alive, and the Cosmic Radiance finally able to find the move. Immortals going to be pushed back now. Xmithie getting himself away as Impact goes forward. Xmithie is nearly down, and Team Liquid have finally found a good-looking fight.
Team Liquid do show some life here with good use of the immunity this time from CoreJJ. Nobody ends up going down. And this is the first time they've really been able to fight off Immortals. But because bottom inhibitor is down, you don't get to relish your small victory at all. This pressure is going to continue. And guess what? Baron number 2 is even more powerful. This is going to allow Immortals to set up here, try and draw Team Liquid into their vision once again.
Broxah caught out of position, does manage to dash away there with a ward. Xmithie's Warmogs has done so much work for him this game on this Sejuani, allowing him to never need to go back to base, always staying healthy, always allowing Immortals to go for the next play. Broxah down to 25% HP. Liquid do not want to give up another Baron. They want to try to get Broxah in there, go for some sort of a steal attempt. Impact going to be on the front line, still going to damage coming out from Altec. Team Liquid now looking to get themselves away as the fight has gone awry. CoreJJ's in the middle of 4. sOAZ there, tanking up on the front line. Broxah's the first one to fall. Jensen under fire. Altec going forward. Damage coming out. Stasis going through. CoreJJ nearly going to be killed here yet again. Jensen down to about 10% HP. Ornn comes through, going to be buying a little bit of time. Impact still getting himself away here yet again. Altec nearly finding that kill. Impact has run away, but he's run into the Immortals jungle. The rest of Team Liquid continue their retreat, but here come the Mystic shots! Shots, everybody! It's Immortals into the face!
Immortals definitely going to be partying tonight, Flowers.
You had best believe it. They are on to the Nexus. Impact's going on the Tour de Rift. He's looking at all the lovely sights, sounds of the forest, and Immortals are looking at the lovely sight of a victory over Team Liquid.
And not only that, this puts Immortals to 5-2 now, with sole possession of second place in the LCS behind Cloud9. Coming in, people had very low expectations of this Immortals roster. And once again, the team play showing through. Yet another team where Xmithie is on, and yet another team where there's a lot of coordination going on here. Definitely will be worth looking into the comms of this team to figure out exactly who's making what calls. But one thing is for sure, they are happy and they are in second place. Definitely deserving this win over Team Liquid.
What an appropriate game for Valentine's Day weekend, where Team Liquid broke up with their jungler. They ran into him in the club, and man, he is living his best life. I tell you what, Immortals